You woke up today and something felt different. Not in a way you can explain, not in a way you can point to, but in the way your body breathed, in the way your chest hesitated before the first movement, in the way your mind felt quiet, but not clear. You moved through the familiar motions, but somewhere beneath them, something was missing. Not broken, just absent. The connection you once had to this life, to these routines, to this version of you, it's not there anymore. And even if your mind hasn't fully caught up, your body already knows. You are not tired. You are not lazy. You are not lost. You are in a transition between an identity that was built to adapt and a self that is ready to align. And the reason it feels strange, the reason you can't quite get back to normal, is because there is no normal to return to. The version of you that built this life is no longer the version of you who inhabits it. And that gap between who you were and who you are becoming is what you are feeling today. It may show up as a quiet lack of motivation, a sense of disconnection from familiar people or places, a resistance to routines that once felt natural, a strange emotional flatness, a pull towards solitude without knowing why. And it will feel in between, because that's exactly where you are, between timelines, between identities, between frequencies. This is not a breakdown. It is not a problem. It is a phase of energetic realignment, and it is more profound than it looks. Here's what is really happening. The life you are standing in today was built by a version of you who had to navigate certain survival patterns, performing, proving, pleasing, adapting, achieving. That self did what it had to do. It was not wrong. It was not fake. It was necessary. But you are no longer only that self. And the patterns that held your past life in place are dissolving. Not because you are failing, but because you are evolving. And your nervous system knows it. That's why you woke up today feeling this way. There is no longer resonance between who you are becoming and the structures of this old life. And so the system, your body, your heart, your field, is refusing to run the old scripts. That refusal feels like not wanting to answer messages, avoiding certain places, losing interest in old goals, feeling disconnected in conversations, questioning everything that once made sense. It is not dysfunction. It is alignment. Because what is dissolving right now is not your capacity. It is the conditioning that taught you to measure your worth by how well you could perform in a life that never truly matched your frequency. And this is why today feels strange. Because part of you is still trying to play the old role, but another part of you has already stepped out of it. You are standing in the gap, and that space, the in-between, is sacred. It is where your real frequency is beginning to surface. But it doesn't announce itself with clarity, not yet. It hums, it waits, it asks, can you stop reaching for what is falling away? Can you hold this space without trying to fill it? This is not about becoming someone new. It is about remembering who you were before the adaptations, before the masks, before the roles. And today, whether or not you fully see it, your system is choosing that path. So if you feel strange, disconnected, lost in the in-between, know this. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not alone. You are moving through a transition window. And what is on the other side is not a new version of success. It is a new state of coherence, a life built on truth, not performance. In the next parts, we'll explore what is really dissolving beneath the surface, why old patterns feel intolerable now, how to move through the in-between without forcing, how to align with what is emerging. You woke up feeling different because you are. And this is the space where your new self begins. You've likely noticed by now, it isn't just your energy that feels off. It's your relationship to everything you used to consider normal. Conversations you once tolerated now feel exhausting. Routines that once structured your life feel hollow. The goals you once chased no longer stir anything in you. And somewhere inside, a subtle grief stirs. Not just for what is being lost, but for the version of you who built their life around those things. Because that version of you was real. It was functional. It served a purpose. It knew how to navigate a world that required masks, performance, and adaptation. It wasn't false. It was survival. And now, that version is quietly dissolving. Not in one grand collapse, but in thousands of small refusals. Each time you can no longer force yourself to engage with what used to define you. This is what people often misunderstand about growth. It doesn't always look like expansion. Sometimes it looks like losing interest. Sometimes it looks like fatigue. Sometimes it looks like sitting in silence because the words you used to speak no longer fit. That isn't regression. It's a nervous system shedding the frequencies it can no longer sustain. It's an energy field disentangling from old agreements. And yes, it feels disorienting. Your system isn't failing you, it's protecting you. It's refusing to invest life force in structures you've outgrown. This is why old habits suddenly feel unbearable, why certain relationships feel energetically loud even when they're outwardly the same, why familiar spaces trigger unexpected restlessness. You are not meant to rebuild the old life in the new energy, and your body knows it. It's why the fatigue comes when you try to push through. It's why the anxiety rises when you attempt to pretend nothing has changed, because everything has changed. Internally first, and the outer shifts will follow, but only if you stop resisting the inner truth that your current reality no longer holds your full frequency. This is not about abandoning everything. It's about letting what no longer resonates dissolve without clinging. And yes, that means sitting in uncertainty. It means holding space for a version of yourself that is not fully formed yet. The mind will resist this. It wants definition. It wants clarity. It wants a timeline. But what is emerging now is deeper than the mind's constructs. It is a frequency shift. And frequency moves at the pace of embodiment, not intellect. You can't think your way into this next phase. You can only feel your way into alignment with it. That's why trying to force motivation doesn't work right now. Why chasing clarity only creates more noise? Because the old framework is collapsing beneath your feet, and trying to rebuild it will only delay the emergence of what is truer, deeper, and more sustainable. The question is no longer, how do I get back to who I was? It is, am I willing to let go of what no longer holds me, even if I don't yet know what will? This is the threshold you are standing on. And this is why today feels different, because somewhere inside, you already said yes to that letting go. The mind may not have caught up yet, but your body has, your field has, your system is already shifting, even in the moments when it feels still. In the next parts, we'll explore how to move through this in-between space with less resistance, how to stabilize amidst the uncertainty, and how to allow the next layer of alignment to emerge naturally. You are not lost. You are in motion, and the deeper part of you already knows the way. There's a reason this space feels so uncomfortable. The human nervous system is designed to seek familiarity, even if that familiarity is misaligned. When life begins to shift, when inner structures dissolve before new ones take shape, the instinct is to rush, to fix, to fill, to explain, to return to something, anything, that feels known. But in this space, that instinct backfires, because what you are moving through isn't a problem to solve. It's an opening to allow, one that won't respond to effort in the ways you've been conditioned to use it. This is why pushing yourself harder right now doesn't yield clarity. Why trying to force decisions leaves you more fatigued. Why seeking external answers only amplifies the noise. What is being asked of you in this window isn't more effort. It's more trust. The kind of trust that allows you to remain present without demanding immediate resolution. The kind of trust that lets the old fall without reaching to rebuild it prematurely. The kind of trust that honors your body's pace over your mind's timelines. It sounds simple? It isn't, because sitting in the in-between requires a different kind of strength, one that doesn't look like productivity or progress in the ways the world measures them. It looks like stillness, like presence, like choosing to feel rather than fix. And that is where the real recalibration happens. Right now, your system is sensitive for a reason. It is attuning to new frequencies, and those frequencies can't land in a body that is bracing or a mind that is grasping. They require openness, softness, space, which is why everything in you is being asked to slow down, to listen, to allow the inner shift to unfold at its own pace. There will be days when the pull to act feels overwhelming, when the old urgency surges, when the discomfort of not knowing tempts you to reach for something familiar. Those are the moments to pause, to breathe, to remind yourself that discomfort is not danger, that what feels like falling apart is often falling into alignment. The nervous system needs to feel safe in this process. And safety doesn't come from forcing the new to appear. It comes from learning to be with what is, without judgment, without rush, without the compulsion to turn uncertainty into immediate clarity. If you can hold that space, you create the conditions for deeper integration, for the new timeline, the new identity, the new resonance to root itself not just in your mind, but in your body, your field, your life. And as that happens, movement will return, not forced, but natural. Aligned action will arise, not from urgency, but from clarity. Energy will flow, not from performance, but from presence. This is the heart of the transition window, learning to trust the pause so that what emerges is true, not another mask worn to avoid discomfort. In the next parts, we'll explore why this moment is the gateway to your next level alignment, how to recognize the subtle signs of emergence, and how to stay anchored as the deeper shifts take form. The in between is not your enemy, it is your initiation, and you are already moving through it, breath by breath. There will come a point, perhaps it's already come, when you realize you can't go back. Not because anyone told you not to, not because you've decided it logically, but because your system simply won't let you. The old motivations won't ignite, the old identities won't anchor, the old desires won't resonate. No matter how hard you try, they feel empty. And that is not failure, it is progress. What you're feeling right now is the natural byproduct of energetic truth rising. And when that happens, the false scaffolding that held your life together can no longer bear the weight of who you are becoming. It doesn't matter how familiar the structures were. It doesn't matter how much time or effort you invested in building them. If they don't match your current frequency, they will crumble. And yes, that can feel destabilizing, because the world around you likely still expects you to operate from the old framework, to keep showing up in ways that no longer fit, to explain yourself when there is nothing clear to say yet. But this is where discernment becomes your greatest ally. Not discernment about others, discernment about your own energy, about what feels alive versus what feels forced, about what feeds your system versus what depletes it. This is the gateway, the place where so many either contract back into the old or surrender fully to what is emerging. And what determines that path isn't discipline or willpower, it's the capacity to stay present with the unfamiliar, to let the not knowing be okay, to resist the urge to reconstruct a life that no longer holds your truth. Because something deeper is already forming beneath the surface. You may not be able to name it, you may not yet feel its shape, but your body knows, your field knows, and every time you choose presence over performance, alignment over urgency, you signal that readiness to life itself. This is why honoring this phase is so essential. It sets the tone for what comes next. If you rush to fill the void with premature clarity, you risk recreating the very patterns you're shedding. But if you can hold space for the emergence, if you can trust the process, you allow a life to unfold that is congruent with who you are now, not who you were. And that life will feel different. Not because it will be perfect or free from challenge, but because it will be rooted in integrity, in alignment, in coherence, where your inner truth and outer expression are no longer at odds. This is the deeper invitation of the in-between, not to wait passively for change to happen, but to embody the frequency of the life you are calling in, even when the external hasn't caught up yet, to become the space where the new can land. In the final part, we'll explore how to anchor this alignment practically, how to move through daily life while your deeper field reorganizes, how to trust the signals that guide you forward, and how to honor this transition not as an interruption to your life, but as the doorway to the life you've always known was possible. Now you're here, in the space where the old has loosened its grip and the new is still taking shape. It's a delicate place, not one to rush through, but one to move within with presence. This is not about mastering the shift. It's about stabilizing as it unfolds, about learning how to live through the transition rather than waiting for it to be over. Because truthfully, the process of alignment never really ends. It deepens, it refines. And each time you meet it with presence, it integrates more fully into who you are. So how do you anchor this in daily life? How do you walk through a world that may still reflect your past self while holding space for who you are becoming? First, begin your day by connecting to your own field, before you reach for the world. Before the noise of other people's expectations, stories, and energies enter your system, come home to yourself. Even a few minutes of stillness can shift the tone of your entire day. Place a hand over your heart. Feel your breath. Remind your body, I am safe to be who I am today. I release what is not mine. Second, move slowly where you can. In a culture addicted to speed, slowness is an act of alignment. It gives your nervous system space to recalibrate. It allows deeper truths to surface. When you move slower, you hear more, within yourself and around you. And in this phase, listening is more valuable than forcing action. Third, trust the signals of your body. The mind will often cling to old timelines out of fear or habit, but the body knows. It contracts around what is misaligned. It relaxes into what resonates. Pay attention to that. If something drains you, notice. If something lights you up, follow. Your body is your most honest guide in this transition. Fourth, release the need to explain your process. Not everyone will understand what you're moving through, and that's okay. You don't owe anyone a narrative that makes them comfortable. Protect the sacredness of this space by keeping some of it just for you, not in secrecy, but in sovereignty. Fifth, create moments of intentional silence, not as another task, but as a space where your system can simply be, where the next layer of clarity can emerge without being chased. In that silence, your field integrates what words cannot. And finally, speak from where you are, not where you think you should be. You're not behind. You're not incomplete. You're in process. Let your language reflect that. I'm in transition. I'm learning to trust what's emerging. I'm allowing what's true to find me. When you honor where you are, you create a resonance that draws the next aligned steps naturally. This is how you anchor the shift, not by doing more, but by becoming more present to what is, by honoring the intelligence of your system as it reorganizes, by moving through life with a kind of soft strength that doesn't need to rush clarity to feel valid. And as you do, you'll notice something subtle but profound. The heaviness will start to lift. Moments of genuine resonance will return. New insights will land, not forced, but received. And without even realizing it, you'll begin to inhabit the next version of yourself, not as an identity to perform, but as a frequency to live from. That is the path you're on now, not forward or back, but deeper, into coherence, into truth, into a life that feels aligned from the inside out. So trust this, honor it. You are not lost. You are not falling apart. You are falling into alignment with who you've always been, beneath the roles, the noise, the conditioning. And this space, the in-between, is not a mistake. It's the doorway. And you're already walking through it.